Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. Not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi folks, welcome back. I'm still on sabbatical, as I call it, for probably a few more days. But I saw this article on newsbusters.org, and I just couldn't resist commenting on it, and how clueless or how evil these people are. I can't figure out which one. Maybe it's a combination of both. It's from MSNBC, of course. Rules suggest civil war has never ended. Wonders how sick America is. In fact, if some Americans do not agree with MSNBC, the 11th hour host Stephanie Rue, let her to ask presidential historian Douglas Brinkley just how sick and divided America is. And with no sense of irony or self-awareness, I might add, while lamenting these divisions, Rule suggested the Civil War has never ended. Well, technically, that's false. The Civil War did end in 1865. But the fight and the culture war, so to speak, for those that want to take down the constitutional republic and those that want to keep this republic going, has been going on since the day the Constitution was ratified. The very day. And by the way, if I remember right, I could be wrong, but Delaware was the first state to ratify the Constitution. So President Biden, you didn't seem to give a good damn about the Constitution, but your state was the first to ratify it. Let's read on. After playing a clip from now sitting Senator Chris Murphy, Rule proclaimed something rotting in the American core. A huge part of the problem comes from the polarization we see in our society today. And it's not just gun safety. Americans are divided on abortion, education, masks, vaccines, everything associated with the pandemic. As Time magazine once put it, our nation is still divided along the battle lines of civil war. But are we really that divided? Are we really? Or is it just finally that normal Americans, the everyday American, conservatives, independents, Republicans, and many in between have finally said enough, and they're pushing back on this crazy BS? Let's talk about that. I think here's a meme I saw. We need to stop, and I can't use the word here because of the algorithm. We can't now say cooking in our schools. That doesn't even happen. Can I ban it just in case then? No. And there you have it. There you have it. Progressives have a lot smaller birth rate, Democrats, than Republicans and conservatives do. And they see the handwriting on the wall between illegal immigration. It bring up the numbers. What they're doing is they're indoctrinating children. They don't have children, but they want your children. And that's actually true. That's a saying that doesn't get a lot of mileage, and it should. It's pretty crazy. Here's a meme that I saw. Kindergartners. I want to learn my ABCs. Public school teachers. I said we GAY today. No learning, just ideology and indoctrination. And parents are finally saying, this is bullshit. I'm going to say the word right out. I'm not even going to beep it. We're not putting up with it anymore. And we saw what happened in Virginia. Now, I do have to say, the new governor there is somewhat of a disappointment, but he's head and shoulders above the Democrat they had. Hopefully he doesn't turn into a rhino when he grows a set. Because I had a lot of hopes for Youngkin. And when they started protesting at the Supreme Court members' homes in Virginia, now Maryland, he had no say. He basically wussed out and says, peaceful protests. No, they broke federal laws. But I digress again. They want to rip the whole thing down, all of it. And here's a funny meme that I saw. The new buzzword in right-wing circles of hell is, and I'll say cooking. They are using it falsely to enact discriminatory laws against GAY and TRANS children and their parents by falsely saying public school teachers are cooking children in order to indoctrinate them into becoming GAY or TRANS. That's true. And they're being called on it. So what do they usually say? Racist prejudice, racist prejudice, racist prejudice. Not true, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true. But these morons put on here, this is what actual cooking, quote unquote, looks like in America. Now, you're not going to believe this one. The bottom half of the meme actually shows 4 family photos. I believe the one on the top left is Lauren Boebert, who I like a lot. For a little bitty woman, she's got a lot of spirit and a lot of spunk. I'll give it to her. She's a big 2A advocate. So am I. And here we have 4 photos that they dug up somewhere on the internet. Looks like 3 of them are holiday photos. You see those all the time. A family will get their family, they'll get a picture and they'll send it out in a postcard or, a Christmas card. And they all have firearms. And they say this is, quote unquote, I can't use the real word, cooking children. Cooking children on obeying the Constitution and living with the rights under the Constitution in this constitutional republic. That's what they're mad about. Their parents are showing them safety, how to handle firearms safely and effectively. Unlike, I'll even tell you the truth, years ago, I'll quote Bernie Sanders, of all people. And he said it, and he's from Vermont, and he knows. Guns are a urban, rural issue. Urban people see it differently than rural people. And even he said that. Of course, he wouldn't dare say it now, but it's the truth. Absolute truth. The Constitution, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Period. But what they're really after, folks, is the so-called nuclear family. I was born in 1956. I'm on the butt end of the baby boomer generation. But the so-called nuclear family, i.e., that's the 2-parent household, and, with the boy and the girl and the Leave It to Beaver type thing, but obviously these aren't Leave It to Beaver people. But the fact of the matter is, since the late 50s, especially since the mid-1960s and past, these progressives have been using everything in their power to destroy the so-called nuclear family, and we'll call it 2-parent household family, especially if you're a person of color. Especially, and they've been incredibly effective. This will destroy a country and a republic almost faster than anything. My understanding is 72%. Not only don't they have the father in the household, but no male figure to look up to. Young black men. Young men, period. Once they reach a certain age, need their father and not their mother as much anymore. And there's no one there. And guess what happens? Something or someone fills that void. Either craziness on the internet and makes you angry and bitter, or gangs, drug sales, the list is endless. They'll fill that void with something else, and it's 99.9% of the time it's negative. They were instrumental in destroying the nuclear family from people of color. Very successful at it. And they've been doing extremely well with whites as well. And in fact, in the 30s, 40s, and the 1950s, people of color, their families, had a small percent higher than white families with a 2-parent household. Think about that for a minute. Think about what it's like now. What was the cause of that? These same pieces of garbage that are saying now that we're too divided. And here we have the so-called nuclear family. Everybody remembers these. Looks like it's from the 1980s. The husband, wife, boy, girl. People seen a million of these, and I've sent out some myself, frankly, and my family. They want that gone. And they've been pretty successful at it, I might add. Very successful at it. And here's the old 1950s, caricature of the 2-parent household. The Leave It to Beaver type picture where the dad's out in his khakis and his loafers cooking on the barbecue, and mom is in the dress. And, you Yeah, is that a stereotype? Yeah, it was pretty much like that, but was everybody as happy as they are in this picture? Probably not, but that's not the point. Families were intact, and they were way better for society than what we have now. Way, way better. Here's one I thought was interesting. No, you can't just sign laws that protect a parents' right to keep children from being taught SCX. Anyway, I just signed the bill. And you know, the weird part is those caricatures on the right aren't really that far from reality, folks. You go on Libs of TikTok, they look just like that. Unbelievable. Incredible. It truly, truly is. What they really and truly want, and they want to rip this all down. All of it down. The Republic, the Constitution, state law, local law, they want anarchy. They are anarchists. Am I making that up? No, they say so themselves. But what's going to, if they're successful, which they won't be, but if they're successful, what are they going to replace it with? Nothing. They don't care. They just want power and control. And they were the useful idiots for the Democrats in 2020. Well, the Democrats made a pact with these morons, and it's backfiring on them. And now the Democrats are using everything in their power not to lose. Everything in their power. It's amazing. Black Lives Matter are linked to 91% of riots. This is from 2020. And we had our current vice president, then candidate for vice president, Senator Kamala Harris, at the time, said these people aren't going to stop, and they shouldn't stop. And then she proceeds to give links, web addresses, so you can donate money to keep the rioting going. And they got the balls to say Republicans committed insurrection by a simple vote? She's encouraging cities to be burned down, federal buildings. If that doesn't qualify as insurrection, I don't know what the hell does. But then, nothing. Like I said, they want to destroy the Republic. Do you think Antifa gives a good damn about Black Lives Matter? They could care less. They want anarchy. And they're very well funded. Look at that equipment. It looks brand new. That helmet looks brand new. That flag looks brand new. All these things cost money. They don't care. They walked up to a Trump supporter 2 or 3 years ago. I believe it was in Portland. Took out a pistol and ended his life right in the street. They got a video of it. Could have cared less. And what happens? Why are we divided? When these morons are arrested, they're released without bail. And then later the charges are dropped, or they're dropped entirely, or they're dropped as some small, tiny misdemeanor and a fine at worst. Two-tier justice system will divide a country, and you guys promoted it. It's amazing to me. Dumbing down students. Most students read less than 15 minutes a day. And I'll bet you 13 of those minutes are the COT BS nonsense. They're dumbing down our students. People that, I'm not talking about formal education, because you can be really, really smart and not have 4 degrees. But they're dumbing down students when they're young, so they're easy to control when they become of age. It's just a simple fact that they'll get information from the media rather than dig it in themselves. Look at this. 7th grade and below. 52%. 52% are below the 7th grade reading level. That's insane. And the billions that are spent in school systems, oh, wait a minute. They go for teacher salaries, their platinum health insurance. Let's see, what else? Their pension fund. I used to be a city councilman in upstate New York in the early 2000s, and believe me, municipal employees, when the pension fund gets low, got to nail the taxpayers. Getting fired is almost impossible In New York City, they have teachers, dozens of them, sitting in a big room. You know what they do all day? They read books and magazines, play on their phones, fool around the internet with their tablets. Why? Because there's such crappy, lousy teachers. They don't want them teaching anymore, but the union won't let them fire them. So they have to put them in rooms and spend tens of millions of dollars because they can't fire them, but they're so bad they don't want to put them in a classroom. That is the reality of it. And then we come the 1619 Project, one of the biggest con jobs besides BLM in the history of the United States, and I even include Bernie Madoff. What a con job this was. This woman that started this, I forget her name, nor do I want to know. I forget. Made tens of millions of dollars. Spread lies and twisted truths and, calls herself an historian. An historian, what a joke. Telling how lousy and how racist. 1619, for those of you who don't know, was supposedly the first day that Africans were brought to Virginia as slaves. In fact, there's the first documented Africans in Virginia arrived here in August 1619 on the White Lion, an English privateer based in the Netherlands. Yeah, okay. Officials traded food and then 20 and odd Africans who would be captured from a Portuguese slave ship. Well, where do these slaves come from? I don't want to get too much in the weeds on this. There's nobody clean. Africans in Africa captured tribes they didn't like, sold them as slaves. And in fact, we are the only country on this planet, the United States, that went to war with itself and killed in battle over 600,000 Americans. By today's numbers and percentages, it would be 6 million. Can you imagine if we had a war today and 4 years from now, 6 million Americans died? Another 1.5 million maimed for life, missing arms, missing legs, missing eyes. Just shattered minds, another 2 million shattered minds. Make PTSD look like a joke. That's not counting the tens of thousands that were opioid addicted because of the painkillers they needed, because of the barbaric surgeries they had. But for some reason, that doesn't count. Those 600,000 Americans don't count. We paid in blood and treasure. We paid. And of course, these morons think that's not enough. We'll always be racist. Where in the world, what country can you live in when you can be a so-called person of color and be a historian slash, intellectual and lie your ass off and twist the truth and have all the media in your favor to give you all the publicity you want to sell your bullshit and make tens of millions of dollars? Where on earth can a person like AOC, so-called, she says, waitress and bartender, go from waiting tables and waiting at the bar and in less than 1.5 years as a member of the United States Congress, as a non-white person and a woman? There is nowhere on earth that could happen but here. But yet these numbskulls, I don't want to swear, play that race card and they play people for chumps. Do you know why the American people gave money and bought these books? Probably to virtue signal, having it on their coffee table. But millions gave tens of millions to BLM. Why? Because I'll tell you the truth, honestly. The average American is decent. The vast, vast, vast majority of people in America are not racist. Period. For some reason, they've been indoctrinated in school. Mainstream media feel guilty. So they gave tens of millions. They bought their products and services and gave to BLM. And they got conned. They really, truly thought they were doing the right thing. And they got ripped off. Worse than Bernie Madoff. Remember him? The Ponzi scam, so to speak. I forget what they actually called the scam he had. With hundreds of millions over time. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. The people just want to do the right thing. And these people know that. And they touch that little part of our souls that are good and clean and want to do the right thing. What a con job. What a con job. So are we divided? Yeah, but not for the reasons they think. We're divided because the progressives and the Democrats have been pushing. And you can call them, they had different names in the past. Today, the progressives, leftists, Democrats, I'm not sure what you even want to call them. And the other side have been pushing back forever. And for a very long time, the average American just sat by and just voted. But now they're saying this is enough. Enough is enough. And they're pushing back against these monsters, especially when they go after our children with ideology and all kinds of crazy stuff that I can't say here because this is YouTube. And now they want to take away their Second Amendment rights and their First Amendment rights. They're 1 and 2 for a reason. The First Amendment is the most important amendment of all of them. And number 2 is there just in case one doesn't work out. That's been said by a lot of people, a lot smarter than I am, and it's true. We're getting more and more pro-Second Amendment as a country. Almost 26 states have constitutional carry. Another 10, 12, 13 have shall issue permits, not may. The tide is turning, and it has been for over a decade. Conservative people move slowly, too slowly for my taste, but better late than never. So are we divided? Yeah. We're divided because the constitutional republic has to survive. The greatest constitutional republic in the history of the world. And it's time for the average person, what Ronald Reagan called the silent majority, to say enough of the bullshit. Push back. And this time, when the red states or the red voters or whatever you want to call them win, make sure these progressives and these progressive Democrats and liberals are defeated so badly that they are destroyed for at least a generation, hopefully longer. And keep an eye on these morons so they never get this kind of institutional power and political power again. Until next time, folks, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.